Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show Week 3, brought to you by freebets.com. The very best free bet offers brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. Adam, that's our sponsor. I know you've got a little bit more about them because you've been writing articles for them and you're having some winners over there, aren't you?
Oh, the shock in his voice is unbelievable. Yeah, go to Free Bets, loads of different writers, different sports, football, darts, tennis, golf, NFL, from yours truly. Well, I was waiting for the inevitable, which you always come at me with at the beginning of every show that we do, which is there's been a game on and did you watch it? And we did a bet builder, got a nice little 6-1 winner. So if you go over to Free Bets, you will see now actually that's out at the moment my Sunday ACCA 5-fold that you can go for. Another one around 6-1, and we've had a few winners. So don't miss out on my excellence. He said,
well,
with
that's
a
what
straight
they're
face.
here. They're here for that. They're here to watch this show for that. Adam, you are right though. We had a game last night. It was 31-21 to the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. It was a close game at halftime. They were sort of trading blows, but the excellence of Josh Allen and the Bills shone through in the fourth quarter, especially. So, thoughts on the game?
Well, they covered the spread, didn't they? Miami. So, there was a lot of everyone was going, oh, they're going to get beaten by 20 points and all that sort of thing. But they covered the spread. Like you say, it was a much tighter game than what I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. But nothing really happened that was shocking, which is probably why we had the 6-1 winner that we did. Not a massive surprise, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose the only takeaway that I've got from that game was the noticeable injuries on the D-line for the Bills, not getting a load of pressure. Hopefully they can get fit.
I think Ed Oliver, wasn't it, was out. For
Ed Oliver and Matt Milano. Was Matt Milano out as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's big loss, obviously.
Yeah, it was noticeable as well. So luckily they were only playing the Dolphins this week. Otherwise, it might have been an issue. I don't know, but I think the Bills are absolutely rolling. You've looked at it as well, and you're looking through their schedule and going, "Where's the Bills lost this season?" As well. So.
I did have I noticed it came up on my social media feed. Just someone had put it out, and I was like, I'm just looking at their games, and you're just going, where do they lose, kind of thing. Obviously, they've got to play the Chiefs at some point, and maybe the Chiefs sort of get it going at that point. They've got the Eagles to play
at the end of the year, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's a few there, but you do sort of look at it and you go, yeah, this is going to be tough. If they can stay healthy, then you sort of think to yourself, where do they actually lose a game in the regular season?
Yeah, we are here to talk about the FTAG5 first, but we will talk about the week that's just gone, where I feel like I was robbed, Adam. I feel like I was robbed. We went 4.
I believe we were both robbed.
4-1. The one that let us down was the -1 on the Broncos, where I don't feel like the Colts beat the Broncos. I feel like the Broncos beat the Broncos, and then were cheated by the refs a little bit at the end with the leverage call.
Cheating by the refs.
A bit gutted about that. Thought week 2 we were already going to be off to a roll with the FTAG5 and have a winner, but on the season we are now 7-3. So it's doing well at the moment. So with that, let's jump into this week's FTAG5. So first off, Adam, I have gone for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm just going to check they're the same. Yep, they're the same one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers -6.5 against the Jets. Jets without Justin Fields this week. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor as quarterback. The defense has not looked as impressive as I thought it would be, being with Aaron Glenn and the Jets. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers seem to be have it rolling again on offense. Samika Egbuka looks absolutely fantastic. I think looking at some of the spreads this week, there's some really odd ones, and it's under the touchdown. And I think the Buccaneers, with how good their offense is, the defense is very good as well. I think they can win this game by sort of 7, well, a touchdown, maybe 10 to 14 points. I think they could get a win by in this.
Yeah, so it's a weird one, isn't it? We're starting to have to deal with the injuries now, and I think that you're starting to see a few odd lines because of it. But I think you sort of feel like you look at what the Buccaneers have done in the first 2 games, and one other thing I have to say, I don't know why the NFL have done this, but there's a lot of like teams have played 2 home games or 2 away games, and it kind of like it does make it a little bit harder this week because of that. Because it does have an advantage in certain places when you're playing at home and stuff like that. So I mean, the Buccaneers, you would look at what they've done over the last 2 weeks. And they've beat the Falcons by 3 points, and then who did they beat last week? But it was by 1, wasn't it? It was very close.
The Texans?
I think, yeah, it might have been actually. But the point is that they've been very close wins. They haven't really won by much. And so obviously having like a -6.5 kind of puts you off because of the size of it. Having said that, obviously, as you've said, Justin Fields is out. Tyrod Taylor's come in, hasn't played a game in quite a while, and you just kind of feel a little bit like with the Buccaneers being at home as well, it just feels like it's going to be very tough for the Jets to be able to do much. As you said, Aaron Glenn being there, we felt the defense was going to be much better than what it is. It hasn't really been very good. I mean, he gave up 34 points to the Steelers in week 1, and it didn't do great last week either. And you just sort of feel that the Buccaneers are probably in a position where they're going to take this relatively easily. Mike Evans has been quiet, but as you said, Ibuka has been great for them, and I think that both of them will probably have decent games here. And the run game as well, it felt like it was starting to click last week a bit more with the run game. Rashad White getting in, which, a bit of a surprise because it felt like Bucky Irvin was the main guy there, but the fact that, they can use both guys is a plus for them. And Baker Mayfield, although there was a little bit of a concern as to whether he was going to play, he's come out and said that he's fit and he's going to play. So, yeah, I mean, it all points to a Buccaneers win. It all points to them sort of doing pretty well against this Jets defense that's struggled. And they're at home as well. So the -6.5, it is big. It is going against what they've done in the previous 2 weeks. But you do kind of feel like there's a lot of positives and reasons as to why it would happen. So I would not be against it at all.
On a slightly different note with the Buccaneers, I know leading favourites Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson for the MVP race, but the stats that Baker's putting up and the things that we don't read, the fact that he's leading in consecutive games with 2 or more touchdowns. He's had the most now. I think he's had 16 consecutive games. The yards, the touchdowns, the game management, the winning games like he did last week late against the Texans in the drive. Is 20-1 a decent sort of outside bet on him if you don't want to go for the obvious too?
I feel like the issue already with this, and this is, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the stats of it, and you look at it and Josh Allen is so far ahead. But obviously Allen has played the extra game sort of thing. So it's I mean, if Baker Mayfield can come out this week and throw for like 300 yards and get a couple of touchdowns, then I think that you're probably looking at a guy who is roughly similar. And it's not so bad. So I think he needs one of them performances to keep up with him. It is a very statty award, isn't it? Stuff like that. So, but it does feel like him, and the other one that I would throw out there is Herbert. I think given what you've seen in the first 2 weeks, it does feel like they're the two that could potentially kick on and statistically keep things going for the season. So yeah, I think at 20-1, he's not a bad shout. I don't know what have you got the market there?
Yeah.
So what's Herbert?
8-1.
Yeah. So you look at them and you sort of think they're both probably decent prices for if you want to go away from Josh Allen, certainly, and Lamar as well. Lamar's had a really good start as well. So and both of these guys use their legs. You know, that's the other thing. That's because it's like that was always the knock on Herbert. He didn't run enough. Mayfield will run a bit. Herbert will run a bit, not as much as Jackson will. But yeah, 20-1 is not a bad price for a shout.
As you can see on the screen, Adam, there's a problem with the NFL markets. They have now just disappeared.
Now I had this last night on Bet365 and it just didn't work. And then it sort of came back.
It's just American football at the moment. We'll have to. I've got the odds, so we'll just repeat them
Okay.
and keep talking about them. But I will remove that for a second, just so we're just staring at a blank screen. But the next game I've got, Adam, is the Dallas Cowboys at -1 against the Chicago Bears. It is in Chicago. I think Dallas have played well through 2 games. I think they put up a good fight against the Eagles and looked decent and could have won it. And they managed to get the overtime win against the Giants in a very high-scoring game. I think that from that, we think the Giants' defense is a top defense, and they managed to put up like 37 points against them. So we know that Dallas's offense is going to put up points. The Bears, yes, we have spoke about them before the season started. Their defense is good, but it's not performed to that level. And I think there's going to be points to be had against that Bears defense. And I'm not sure whether the Bears offense can put up as many points as the Giants did. So I like the -1 here on the Cowboys. But I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I do think, I'm just going to have a quick look at it, the over might be good on this.
Yeah, so the over-under set at 50. And I mean, we saw what the Lions did to the Bears last week and how you can just score on them relatively easily. They've lost Jalen Johnson as well, haven't they? Mm-hmm. So that's a big, obviously a big issue for the Bears and means that their main corner's gone. So I think players like CeeDee Lamb and actually Turpin, I think it would suit them quite a lot. And Dak being able to, long bombs over the top. So, yeah, like you say, you could have quite a high scoring game here. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not anything it, to be brutally honest, when it comes to this game. I think it could go either way. That's probably why it's -1. It does kind of feel a bit of a coin flip game. I don't think either defenses have been particularly great this year. I can kind of see where you're coming from because with the offenses being slightly better from the Cowboys, I think we've seen a little bit more from them than what we've seen from the Bears so far. But the Bears are still capable. I mean, they put up, what was it, late 20s against the Vikings and then sort of early 20s against the Lions. So they are capable of putting up some points. They certainly against this Dallas Cowboys defense, who are not anything special. So yeah, I think the over/under I agree with. If you want to go -1 on the Cowboys, I'm not against it. I just don't really. I don't really anything it.
The Bears haven't looked like winning a game yet, and the Cowboys have a win and should have beat the Eagles if it wasn't for CeeDee Lamb's drop.
Yeah,
we've seen the Cowboys nearly beat a very good team and beat a team, and I haven't seen the Bears look like beating anyone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, they were in a good position, weren't they, the Bears against the Vikings? Like they should have won that game, really, considering where they were. So and they sort of
poor play from JJ McCarthy more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I think like you say, I think a shootout is probably most likely, in which case it could literally go either way, because I do feel like they've got the chances of both teams have got the ability to to do it, I am slightly more in favour of Dak than I am Caleb Williams. So I'm not, like I say, I'm not against the -1. I think it's, it's basically you're picking the winner sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I think it's a fair shout, and I wouldn't be against it at all. But I don't know. I just feel like it could literally go either way. That's the problem. But yeah, I'm not again. I'm probably slightly more on the Cowboys side, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. The next one I've gone is the Indianapolis Colts at -4 against the Tennessee Titans. The Indianapolis Colts surprising everyone this year, looking good on offense, looking good on defense, putting points up quite regularly. I think I saw that they haven't punted yet through 2 games, which is the first time in God knows how many years that a team's gone through games without punting a single time. So they're putting themselves in great positions to put points on the board every single drive. The Titans are finding their way still. They're still figuring it out and working out what they are and who they are. I don't think they've been horrendous. I don't think they've particularly played bad. I just think they're not quite, of where we've seen the Colts through 2 games. So I think the -4 I'm quite comfortable with.
Yeah, I think the Colts, it's been a weird one, isn't it, with the Colts? They've surprised everyone, I think. There wasn't anyone who was thinking that Daniel Jones was going to start off with this sort of like amazing start that he has, being able to, the pass completion percentage that he's got is 71.4 at the moment, which is crazy, really. There's very few quarterbacks that will be having 70+%. So he's done really well. Obviously, he's rushed into some touchdowns as well, which kind of helps. And I must admit, I was very much like when they played the Dolphins in week 1. So let's wait and see. And then they went out and beat the Broncos. And I know you said like the Broncos kind of beat themselves at the end, which is probably true, but they're still
a good defense.
Yeah, they're still a decent defense, and they put up 29 points against a very good Broncos defense that a lot of people arguably are saying are the best in the league. So yeah, they've definitely got something going on here, and as you say, they're going up against a Titans team that this season is just about developing Cam Ward. That's all it is. It's not anything else. It's not about winning games, to be brutally honest. It's just about developing their quarterback, making sure he's the right guy, and then they can sort of move on and build around him. I feel like he's just not. I don't. It's weird with Cam Ward. It's like, because some of the, his pass completion is 50.8. And that's kind of like Anthony Richardson kind of numbers. And you just sort of feel a little bit like, is it just that he's not to a certain extent, is he not getting enough opportunities in order to be able to do it? Or is it more just that the supporting cast around him just isn't good enough? And I kind of feel like it is a bit of the supporting cast around him isn't great. And so I feel like it's going to be tough in a game like this. I know they're at home. Obviously, they've played away for the first 2 weeks. Again, that was really tough for Cam Ward to get things going. But I just don't see them scoring enough points here in order to be able to really do much. So -4, it's not bad. Yeah, like it. I'd have it in this.
I'm going to leave my next one till last. So I'll move on to my 5th pick, which, I mean, they've provided me with a few ticks. I know it's only the week 3, but they've provided me with 2 ticks already this season. I was quite high on them before the season started when I reviewed them, and I'm still quite high on them despite the fact their quarterback's down. But I have gone for the San Francisco 49ers at -2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. I said it last week. Mac Jones is a system quarterback, and he's with Shanahan, and it will work. And funny enough, it worked. He looked good. He played well. It wasn't just CMC all game, and he just handed it off to him. Mac Jones actually threw the ball and threw well. And I think it's within a field goal. And the Arizona Cardinals, to me, a very hit and miss. I think, hit and miss, not week to week now, hit and miss drive to drive. Some drives are good, some drives are really bad. And I do think the 49ers defense is still really, really good. So I'm happy that the 49ers, I think, will win this by a field goal or more. So I'm going to roll with them again.
Yeah, so the key to this is the fact that it's -2.5. I think that's the thing. The fact that it's within the field goal is what makes you feel that this is the way forward. As you say, their defense is still good. It's not as good as what it was, but it's still decent. The offense obviously has taken a load of injuries, but okay, they played the Saints last week, but Mac Jones still looked decent, all right. He didn't look bad. And it's funny, actually, there was a thing that I've read that I've got that they're very close, Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, and obviously they both played one game. And it is quite sort of weird where it's like, Mac Jones passed for 279 yards, Brock Purdy passed for 277. Mac Jones had 3 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, Brock Purdy had 2. There's a lot of similarities there. I mean, Brock Purdy was a bit more accurate with what he did rather than Jones, but yeah, there's that thing. Neither of them really rush much, but they don't need to because Christian McCaffrey's there. So it's that weird sort of thing where you look at it and you just kind of go, yeah, actually, they both statistically, the completions were the same, the attempts were slightly more for Jones, but nothing major. Yeah, it's all pretty similar, and it is very much about that system quarterback. Now, obviously, they played different teams. Jones played against the Saints, didn't he, last week, and it was reasonably comfortable all the way through. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It's tough to really go against it given all of that information, and then when you look at the fact that it's the Cardinals, and they're difficult to back. I find I had them last week in my ACCA last week, and they won, but my God, did they try and throw it away? It was that thing. They were like, I think was it 27 points to 3 up, and it ended up 27-22, and it's a real concern with them where it's like no one's going to say that you can't give up a touchdown to another team after that when you're in that position, but to end up in that position where at the end it was like, oh my God, they look, the Panthers actually had a drive to win the game. That is a problem, and it shows that there's a bit of a soft underbelly there. And I think that's why you can't really trust them. So, yeah, because it's within the field goal, -2.5, the 49ers, I just think, are a better team than the Cardinals and will get the job done because, there is a little bit of talk about Brock Purdy maybe playing, but really, why rush him back? There's no need. And so, yeah, I think -2.5, great. I've got it in mind.
Yeah, I just think the Cardinals, for me, after watching some of their games as well, they've got a bit of an OC problem. I think Drew Petzing's drawing up plays that don't really favour Marvin Harrison. He used him as a decoy in one of the plays as well, didn't he? He used him as a decoy.
Yeah.
It seems to be very train wide first read heavy, which is not that far down the field either. I think that might be a Kyler Murray safety net, but I just
possibly
don't think they're calling it right on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they want to use McBride as the main guy. It kind of feels very, it feels like the in thing now to use these sort of like tight ends who are not your old fashioned tight ends, but more like just large wide receivers. Obviously, you see it with the Raiders and Bowers, don't you, a lot? And it kind of feels like with the Packers this year, Tucker Kraft, that's the way that they want to go with it a little bit. And it does seem like it's the way that a lot of teams are sort of going now. But yeah, the fact that Marvin Harrison's not being used as much as he is pretty criminal, to be honest, given the talent that you've got there. And it may well be the fact that you've got an OC that doesn't really know how to use it.
Yeah, I think that is the problem. I don't think it's a Marvin Harrison problem. I think it's a them problem. The last one, I've left it till last because I put it in the ACCA before the quarterback was ruled out. And I genuinely thought that he wouldn't be ruled out. I thought, this is just a small injury. He's a tough kid. He'll be playing in this game. And if he's playing, I like them to win. So I don't know whether we should swap this one out. So I'd advise the next part of the show when we talk about which one we'd swap in and swap out. This might be your chance to give us the right one. But I went for the Commanders at -3.5 against the Raiders at the Commanders. As I said, with Jalen Daniels, I think they win this game quite comfortably. I think they're a top team. So are they the same without him? Have they got a chance? Is it moved from 3.5 now as well?
Yeah, so it's moved into -3. So it hasn't moved that. No. So it's not moved that much. Obviously, Marcus Mariota is going to be there now. It is a bit concerning. Obviously, it does kind of put you off without Daniels there. Not that it's a massive knock on Mariota, because we've seen that Mariota is decent. But I feel like the Raiders, I've said this before, I feel like they are a bit sneaky good this year and that they're not too bad. But I think that would put me off of going for it. The -3 kind of makes you feel a little bit like it's not too bad because it's just a field goal, but it's just, I'm just not sure that Mariota is going to be able to put the points up in this game in order to be able to really get very far. I think Zach Ertz is going to be heavily targeted in this game to help him out. And yeah, it's a tough one. Like you say, if Daniels was playing, then I think it would be a no-brainer at -3.5. But because he's not, it does kind of put you off. When it comes to the injury, I think that's just them being really cautious on him because they know that if he goes down, then they're done, kind of thing. And I think they just don't want that to happen. So I'm not overly shocked that that's happened. He got hit, was it 12 times against the Packers in the last game? I mean, that's, so no wonder why he's come out with a bit of an injury. So yeah, I think it's probably give him a bit more time and he'll be back next week.
Yeah, it's a bit concerning that when you look at the dual threat quarterbacks, Justin Fields out, Jalen Daniels out, Lamar's had his injury worries over the years, Anthony Richardson as well. Are you going to see a shift? It seems like Josh Allen seems to be the only freak that can do both. Do you think there's going to be a shift in we don't want dual threat quarterbacks, we want pocket that are sneaky good at scrambling?
I think if that was the case, it's going to take an awful long time because a lot of college quarterbacks are dual quarterbacks now, aren't they? I think this was something that we always thought could happen. The reason that Josh Allen can get away with it is because they can't bring him down because he's like 240 pounds, whereas for all these others are like a bit smaller, especially Daniels, obviously, is about 200. It was always the worry, wasn't it, that we said when coming into the NFL. So I think that's where the problem comes in. But you still have guys that are okay. I mean, Kyler seems to be all right, and he's smaller, obviously. But yeah, it is a concern that obviously if they do get hit an awful lot, then it will happen. I just don't think it. I think it would take so long to transfer back to pocket passers now that
not necessarily. I don't mean like statues in the pocket.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's
like scrambler that is good at passing rather than I've got a guy that we design runs for.
Yeah, but don't you find with the college stuff now that so much of it is bringing in running plays for the quarterback? But
it works in college. It works in college.
Yeah, no, I get that. But obviously they're used to that. Yeah. And then they come into the NFL and then they're not used to doing the other stuff. But we can't sit anyone anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the problem. And it's like, so if you can't sit them, how does it? That's why it doesn't work a lot of the time. So, yeah, it's difficult. But I think I think maybe it would be good. I mean, the good thing about Jaden Daniels is that he is capable of being purely a pocket passer if he needs to be.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's the benefit with him. But yeah, I mean, with some of them, they need the time to develop their skills when it comes to pocket passing because they just don't do it in college enough.
So if we're taking that game out because we're now worried with the injury, Adam, what game did I miss, and what have you got in there instead?
Well, the one that I was a little surprised at you because you're a pretty strong proponent for Justin Herbert and the Chargers.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised that it wasn't picked, given the fact that it's -3, because it's not a massive minus, and
I don't think it was -3 when I did
okay.
that, because I've looked at it and gone, why have I not got that in there?
Yeah. So at -3, I
I
kind of
think
felt like it was a
-3.
good number. Obviously, the Broncos.
I think it's come down. Is Khalil Mack playing?
No, he's out.
So I think it might have come down since the announcement of that.
Okay.
One player, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't -3. Otherwise, I would have had it in there.
Yeah. So obviously the Broncos, very good defense, but as we saw, the Colts put 29 points up against them. And I don't think you can really come out and say that the Chargers could have done any better than what they've done in the first 2 games against some tough teams as well. So yeah, -3. I think that's the way that I would probably look at it at that one, especially now that Jaden Daniels is out for the Commanders. And I think they've got a very good chance of beating the Broncos and being able to do something because they've got so many weapons now, and they're playing differently. They've kind of taken everyone by surprise a little bit, where they're using Justin Herbert as a rusher a lot more. And also, this is the thing, like you're saying, a lot of these guys can't do it because they're smaller. That's why they're getting injured. Well, Herbert's not. Herbert's like, you're talking Josh Allen type. So, and the way that he's playing at the moment is pretty Josh Allen-like. So it's like they have the ability to do that. He has the ability to pick out passes wherever he needs to. He's got certainly 2 very good, reliable weapons in Lad McConkey and Keenan Allen, and he's got over the top as well with Quentin Johnson. So he's got 3 decent weapons that he can use there. The run game just isn't really happening. That's the problem, which is surprising given who we're talking about, because Greg Roman is known for his run game. So that's a bit of a surprise that it's not really happening for him. But I do feel like they played against the Chiefs, who are very good against the run in week 1. And then week 2, who did they play last week? You remember who they beat?
Mm-hmm. We had them.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember who they played. They didn't play anyone according to my notes.
I'll get it up. I'll have a little look. They played
the
Raiders. Yeah.
Was it the Raiders? So again, another team that's pretty solid against the run.
Raiders only
scored. Yeah. So you're kind of hoping that they're going to get that going. But yeah, at -3, I think it's a nice price and nice points total even. And I think that given with Daniels being out, that's the way forward.
Yeah, I would definitely put that one in there. I'm not sure I missed it. The only other ones before we go on to Avoid, just quickly looking down, I do quite like the +3 for the Rams. I know they're your guys. I do quite like that. Rams to win that outright, actually.
Yeah. So
that's more of a feeling for me that it's going to be a tough game. That's not an obvious one in an Acker, is it? But
no, it is a tough one, that one. And I think I kind of thought about it but avoided it in the end, went away from it, because I think it is difficult to go against the Eagles at the moment. So it's one of them. You kind of have to watch it and just be like, well, never mind. We'll have a look somewhere else down the line, probably when they meet again. But yeah, it's a tough one to back.
What's your rack avoid then?
Right, so the one we're avoiding this week that I am not overly keen on, I have to say, is the -5.5 on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons have not really started particularly well. They struggled. They lost to the Bucks in week 1, and then last week they sort of struggled, didn't they? Last week they didn't do great. They should have had a look and see. They played Vikings. And so that was a tough. That kind of,
five field goals for the Falcons and 2 for the Vikings.
Yeah. So it was like they kind of struggled to get things going, and Penix has not. He's looked all right, but he hasn't looked great. So in that respect, it's a bit of a difficult one. I feel like the defense has been pretty solid, been all right, but they didn't really have much to stop last week. And when they did play the Bucks, they obviously lost, so they didn't stop them that much. The Panthers, the reason that I'm sort of like going down this route is also the Panthers played the Cardinals. They looked awful in week 1, but they played the Cardinals last week. And they sort of had that comeback where I know they didn't win, but they did put up a lot of points all of a sudden. And we saw last year with Bryce Young, it kind of felt like he needed that time to get going. And then once he got going, it sort of clicked a little bit. And I think that might be what will happen again this year. I don't like them to win the game. I think the Falcons probably will win it. But it feels like 5.5 is quite a large number, and I can kind of see the Panthers either doing enough to stick around, or if they struggle at the beginning to do what they did against the Cardinals and sort of come back and just do enough to basically knock you out of the -5.5 here. So I think it's quite a large number in favour of the Falcons, considering really how poor they've looked. I would say I just don't feel like they've done anything amazing. Not being able to score a touchdown in week 2. I get that the Vikings defense is considered good, but even still, you should be. I mean, the Bears scored a couple of touchdowns against them in week 1, so you kind of feel like you should be scoring a couple on that. Feels like Drake London has completely disappeared. Don't know what's happened there. And it's all very much run game and Bijan Robinson, which I understand, but
a lot more Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts has been involved a bit, but it's like short passes, isn't it, to him, and it's not really doing much, and it feels like they're stuttering a little bit, and so the idea of them being a -5.5 favourite just feels quite high.
I think they need to hit free agency for a deep threat wide receiver. I know you've got London, but London's like you sort of alpha, because college Michael Penix absolutely aired it out, darting it down the field with his cannon of an arm like all year, and he made sort of what you had Adunze, McMillan, and Polk all just sort of firing all cylinders. So I think they're missing a trick with Penix and not got the right weapons around him and delivering it quite correctly.
Yeah, they haven't really got anyone, have they? They've got Ray McLeod, I suppose, and Darnell Mooney's not. Yeah. He's been missing a little bit. So yeah, they haven't really got that speed threat, and it does kind of feel like you say, that probably is something that they could do with.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick one. We won't talk about it, but I'm avoiding the Steelers-Patriots game. I couldn't even tell you. I haven't got a strong feeling of who's even going to win that. Some days I'm like, yeah, that's the Steelers, and then I'm like, actually, Patriots might win that.
So I did look at it. I was tempted to go for it, but I just thought that it was a bit small.
It's -2, but I'm not. I literally don't. I could
No.
not. I'm struggling to pick a winner of that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
No, I agree. It's a very difficult one. They look pretty similar.
Well, the Steelers' defense looks awful.
Yeah, compared to what it was, it looks like you can score on them quite easily.
It looks like their run game's gone and their defense looks awful, and that's been the identity of the Steelers for as long as I've been watching football. I know Big Ben was like absolute kind of an arm, but they always had a good run game. And the Patriots are still, I don't know, but they're good. They're just, I don't know.
They were all right. They've been okay, haven't they? I mean, they lost to the Raiders in week 1, and then they've gone out and beaten Miami in week 2. So, but they scored a lot against Miami, and it shows that, you know, Drake May did well, and they looked good.
And Andre looked good.
Yeah. So I think that they've got a good, you know, like you say, it feels very much like a coin flip game, and it could go anywhere. So yeah, I'm not against it. The only reason I didn't go for it was it is quite a small number. Try and find a bigger favourite to nab.
Right. Touchdown scorers then, Adam. We were really good in week 1. We were real close on a lot of them. And we also picked out some guys through the games when we were looking at them that actually came in as well. What have you got on the early fixtures? I've got 2 because I think my first one was a little bit wild. So I went a bit more conservative and quite liked my second one. But hit me with yours.
So my early games one, I have gone for the Panthers. I've gone Tetero at McMillan at 17-10. I think that I'm kind of banking on the fact that I think that it's clicked a little bit, and that they'll start moving a bit quicker, going up against this Falcons defense, which isn't fantastic, but it's okay. I've gone for Emeka Egbuka for the Buccaneers against the Jets. Jets defense just not been as good as what it has been.
What did you get Egbuka at?
7-5.
I got him at 7-5 as well. Spoiler alert. Are you shocked that a guy that's been in the end zone so many times already this year, through, you know, in both games, that he's 7-5 still? Like, we said this every year. There's a guy that's automatic every year, and this seems to be the one for us.
I'm not overly surprised. I think it's because you've got Mike Evans there. So you're always gonna. I think they're always going to put Mike Evans at a slightly shorter price. They're always going to think that Evans is going to be the first read. So if you look at the betting, Bucky Evans 5-7, obviously, but Mike Evans is 23-20, and then Nick Book 7-5. So I kind of get it. There's not too much difference, is it? I mean, Evans is 23-20, 7-5 is what, 28-20. So it's not that far different, but I think the days of getting him, I can't remember what he was the first week we did him, but I think 7-5 is probably about as big as you're going to get now. So I think it was going to get smaller rather than bigger. So Egbuka at 7-5, I like look of, and then finally, and this might be a bit of a. I was really torn between 2 guys here, and I've kind of gone for what I consider the safer option of the 2, which is Jamar Chase. And the reason I've gone for him is the price is ridiculous for Jamar Chase. And I don't care what anyone says, Browning is going to throw that ball over the place, and he's going to target Chase a lot. Because that's exactly what he did. When he came on. So 13-10 with Bet365, 6-4 with Paddy Powell for Jamar Chase. And McMillan, Egbuka, Chase, 13.90 to 1 with Bet365. However, 16.25 to 1 with Paddy Powell.
Yeah, other betting sites are available.
Yeah.
I like it. I can't really pick out a fault with. I know we both spoke about the Chase one. As soon as I saw it, I messaged you and I was like, "What is going on?" He's usually the odds on favorite in every single game to get in the end zone. You usually get him like four to something, and it's not in your favor. So the fact the numbers are the other way around. I was like, "What?" Like he doesn't turn bad overnight. Like.
No.
Just because the quarterback changes doesn't mean the ball's not going there.
And also, it doesn't matter who you're playing either.
Yeah, like if I'm chucking the ball up in the air, there's a chance that Jamar Chase will catch it.
So yeah.
But if I came out, if I literally put my name in the hat to play in the NFL, I'd get loads of hype, wouldn't I? Just for my surname.
Yeah, I will. I'll wait for you to do your treble, but there is one guy that I nearly put in because you might have picked him. I don't know.
My first one, I've gone Daniel Jones at 9-5. He's been in the end zone 3 times already. On one of the plays that he got in the end zone, he had back-to-back rushes to get in the end zone as well. So it's not as if they tried it once, it didn't work, and they went, "Oh, there you go, Jonathan Taylor. You are actually an incredible running back, but we're just going to go with Daniel Jones." So I think if they get anywhere near the goal line again, it's Daniel Jones, isn't it, that's going to be flopping into the end zone. So quite happy with that at 9-5. I think the odds are good on that. I've gone with Egbuka, which we already know, at 7-5. And then I briefly just said it. I think the ball goes to Kyle Pitts a lot. I've looked at his target share. It seems to be going to him. If they're in the red zone, I'd call that more of a shorter play than a long play like you'd use London. So I've gone Pitts at 13-5. And that comes out at 23.19 to 1. So I'm in the 20s. I'm 10 better than you, aren't I? It was your 13-1. So
yeah. So it was like that. The day I had Daniel Jones written down actually, and then the others I get. I'm not a big thing on a massive fan of Pitts and thinking he's going to score, but I can understand your reasoning behind it. He's getting more targets than anyone else at the moment. The one that I kind of like the look of, who was 23-10 on Paddy Power, was Matthew Golden. For the Packers. Now, the reason he was basically the one that came out, and I went for Chase instead. And had I not, it would have pushed it up to like 17 to something to 1. But the reason that I like Matthew Golden for this particular matchup is that the Browns are a pretty good team against the run, and they've managed to stop. Derrick Henry barely had anything against them last week. And so I think Josh Jacobs might struggle a little bit. It means they're going to have to the Packers are going to have to throw the ball. And with Jaden Reed not there as well, obviously you've got Romeo Dobbs and there's lots of other guys, but Golden has been separating like crazy. And there's some stat going around, isn't there, that he's like the most separated in the league or whatever in the first 2 weeks. So at 23-10, I did quite like the look of him at a bigger price than any of the others that I had anyway. But yeah, I went for Chase in the end. But,
my other one that I built with Chase in it, I had Dobbs because despite the fact Golden is open and he's on the field for like 70+% of the snaps, so he's on the field, he's running routes. He's not the first read. He's not the second read. He's not the third read. So I'm worried that the ball's not going his way, despite the fact he's open. But it is going Dobbs' way.
Dobbs. Yeah.
So Dobbs at 27-20. I think that's where the connection lies now. Reed's out and Kraft's out as well. So the targets have got to go somewhere, and they've been going to Reed. So to Dobbs. So I've gone with Dobbs, Chase, and then the other one I put in there again. Before I knew he was out. I put Zach Ertz in there at 14-5. I still think Zach Ertz is a good bet with Mariota. Again, if you're in that red zone, Ertz is always a good target. That came out at 20-1. So.
Yeah, I like Ertz. I think Ertz in this game makes sense. He's been in, isn't he, both games so far this season, and it feels like even like with Mariota, he's just going to see more targets, and they're still going to be a decent side. They're still going to have red zone opportunities.
Deebo Samuel and McCollum, the ball is still going to move down the field.
So I think he's a very good red zone target. So yeah, I quite like him for this week as well.
What's your late game one? In fact, it's a lot more difficult, the late one, but I found some good
Yeah,
odds.
it was a tough one, the late one. I found it difficult. So as you said, and I think we're all in agreement, it's the highest over under, isn't it, as well, of the week is the Cowboys Bears game. I've gone for Roma Dunze at 29-20. I think that he's clearly the number one guy there now with Caleb Williams. So I think he's got a very good chance. He scored twice last week. So yeah, I like him to be able to score against this Cowboys defense, which I don't think is going to put up many problems for the Bears. It's going to be more about the Bears messing themselves up. Keenan Allen for the Chargers. Again, we had Keenan Allen in our bet. When was it? In the Monday night bet builder that I did. Keenan Allen scoring the reception. He's getting a lot of targets, like an insane amount of targets. I think I'm not 100% sure. He's getting more than Lad McConkey, isn't it?
Yeah, McConkey's been quiet so far this
Yeah,
year.
McConkey has been quite quiet,
Because
hasn't it?
Keenan Allen, they already had the relationship, didn't
Yeah.
they? So, you know.
Yeah, so he's getting more targets than McConkey, and so yeah, I quite like him for this one, and going up against the Broncos, who I think we saw, with the Colts, that you can score on them, and he won't be the number one sort of read either, I don't think. So I think people will still go to McConkey first. So Keenan Allen 12-5, which, when you say about Egbuka being 7-5, what the hell is Keenan Allen still doing at 12-5? That's pretty mental. And then finally, I went for JSN for the Seahawks going up against the Saints. Now,
odds are short on him, aren't they?
Sorry?
The odds are quite short on JSN, aren't they?
The odds are short on him. He's 23-20, so he is very short. However, he's had 23 targets this season. He hasn't had a touchdown yet. I kind of feel like it's a matter of time before they get him into the end zone. And the Saints are not a defense that are going to do too much, I don't think. The reason that I could have JSN and Adunze in there at smaller odds is because of the price of Keenan Allen being so much bigger. So it worked out to 16.91 to 1.
It's not bad.
And it was about the same on both sites. So yeah.
Strong bet. I have also got Roma Dunze in there. I don't think you can. I think he's going to. When you look at how the Giants played against him, where the ball went, and what the wide receivers, both Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors did, Adunze is going to do that as well. That's going to be the guy that does the damage. So at 29-20, I'm happy with him, or whatever odds you got him at as well. I went with Quentin Johnson. Already been in the end zone 3 times this year. Both games, got a touchdown. I don't see why it's going to be any different. He seems to be a read on sort of when they're about 30 yards out from scoring, the ball seems to be going his way. So there's design plays, targets over the top. I know he's dropped a few as well, but I do think they still trust him and the ball goes that way. So quite like Quentin Johnson at 5-2, slightly bigger odds than Keenan Allen, not much at all, but a little bit there. And then I followed where the ball's going in the last game. I didn't like the odds on JSN or I really like Ken Walker to score, but the odds just weren't good enough for me in that game. But the ball seems to be going to one player a lot again, and that's Chris Olave. The ball is going his way a hell of a lot. I know he's not one of them that you kind of go, he's in the end zone every single week. Juwan Johnson's odds are good on that, and the ball's going his way, but it seems to be dominating going to Chris Olave. Seen the ball a lot. It's 21-10. So I do think if Saints are going to get in the end zone, I think the targets are going to go his way, and he's got a chance. That's always what I think about when I'm putting my money on someone. It's where's the ball going? Who's got the chance of getting in there? And that's 25.5 to 1, that bet.
Yeah, Adunze, like Quentin Johnson. The only reason that I've gone for Allen over Johnson is I just feel like Allen is more reliable with the amount that he's going to get.
I agree with
But
you.
it's just but I understand the reasoning behind Quentin Johnson, so I get it. Chris Olave, yes, he's had a lot of targets. That's about as much as I
But he's
can
caught
say.
those targets as well. It's not like, yeah, he's had like 10 plus targets every
Well, he's
game.
had 20. He's had 13 receptions, isn't he? So
Yep.
from
Over 2
23
games.
targets. So it's not 13 receptions in 2 games is what? So you're looking at 6.5. Yeah, I personally I think this is where like I'm kind of like at the moment. I must admit, a lot of my ones were like I'm looking at where the ball's going, who's getting targeted. It feels like that makes a lot of sense. The issue with the Saints is how often are they actually going to get up to the goal line? That's the problem. Against a Seahawks defense that looks pretty good. I think that's the concern with that one. And probably what was his price by again?
21 to 10.
Yeah. So okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So that's obviously a big, not massive, but it's a decent price, isn't it, for him? So I can understand why it's come out, why he's priced at that. But yeah, I don't know how much the Saints just don't look like an NFL team at the moment, I'm afraid.
It doesn't matter whether they lose 51-7.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. It's just it's purely going to be about the amount of opportunities that they're going to get. That's the issue.
Yeah, I think they'll score. I don't think they're going to be shut
Oh, I
out.
think they'll score. And also the other thing is that you do lose a little bit to Kamara.
Yes, obviously, yeah.
So that's the other concern. But I mean, Jawan Johnson's been targeted a hell of a lot.
Jawan Johnson's odds are good. So if you like Jawan Johnson over,
3-1.
The odds are really good as well. So
yeah,
wouldn't steer you away putting Jawan Johnson in there as well. So that's always a good one. Well, that's our bets. Hopefully, there's some next week. We're saying, we raked in all the money again. So that'd be good. We had some winners between us last week as well. So it's all going quite well for the year, only in week 3. So fingers crossed it keeps going that way. That's all we've got time for. As always, keep it with the franchise tag and see you again very soon.